There's no denying the talent of actor Christian Bale, and he's featured in a new Western that doesn't shy away from portraying the violence and more gruesome parts of the time period. Jim Ferguson is here with more, but first, Jim, nice to have you. First of all, let's talk about Critics' Choice. How was it?
Big success. Thousands of people, the biggest stars you'll see, all the people you'll see at the Oscars. And they were there for us. Big success. We're so happy about it.
You were sitting at the Shape of Water table with Guillermo del Toro 2 seats away.
Yeah, and Richard Jenkins right next to me.
Incredible. But today we're talking about Hostels.
Yes, a movie that should get nominated. It's one of my favorite films of the year. Not a typical Western, and here's one of the finest actors you can meet and talk to, Christian Bale. Would you agree with me that we mentioned the Westerns? This movie is not a typical Western.
It's not your typical, it's not, as Scott says, the director, he says, it's not your dad's Western. It's not the black hat, white hat notion. There's a great deal of conflict. There's a recognition within the incredibly successful cavalry captain that I play that whilst he is enormously successful at what he does, that he is the attacker, that he's perpetrating genocide. He has a hatred for the Cheyenne chief, played by Wes Studi, but he also has immense respect for him as well.
They develop a relationship.
He knows he would behave the same way if he were in his shoes. And then the story is the two, his nemesis, the two of them having to go on a journey together. And how do you stop that hatred? How do you stop that fighting without rendering your friends and your brothers-in-arms deaths completely meaningless? How do you return to being human again?
Your character, Captain Joseph Blocker, I felt wanted to be a career, wanted to retire in the Army.
Right.
That's what he would prefer, instead of being forced out in a way.
Right. Yeah, but he's threatened with the court-martial if he doesn't do this job, and it's because of the political whims from Washington. You know, he's been very dutiful. He's done exactly what they have requested of him, Manifest Destiny, etc. But he's smart enough to know that Manifest Destiny really largely meant protection of business interests, and it actually meant genocide as well. And suddenly he's being told to change all of that. But he's seen his own men die. And you think about the rage that would come inside of somebody that the politicians have just, without putting themselves in danger, have changed their minds.
Christian, it sounds like it's relevant today.
Totally relevant today. It became more and more relevant as we were filming, and then after as well. This could have been 1892 is when it's set, but it could have been 2017.
Yeah.
It's particularly American, you know, and America, you know, such a short history, a great deal of violence within its history. Brilliant thinkers, radical thinkers, but we've made enormous mistakes. I say we, it's my adopted home. And unfortunately what we're seeing now is people becoming very comfortable with expressions of hatred towards their fellow Americans, and we're making the same mistakes that we made in the past.
I agree.
Insanity.
Important point he makes, and you say same director as Black Mass.
Right, Scott Cooper did a great job. Yeah,
looks like a great film. And then this Friday, speaking of horses, we're staying on sort of the same theme.
Yeah, the movie is 12 strong, and it's based on a book called The 12 Horsemen, or The Horsemen. And it's set in Afghanistan, and these soldiers that the special forces that go in there never trained in horses, but the only way they could get to the Taliban was on horseback.
Right.
So we have another Western on Friday, but two good actors too, of course. We have Chris Hemsworth and Michael Pena.
Great actors as always. You'll bring us those interviews, Jim. As always, a pleasure to sit down with you. Thank you.
And you make it so easy. Thank you,
make
Alex.
it easy. Thank you. Now, for even more of these celebrity interviews, log on to TucsonMorningBlend.com. Search for Hollywood Happenings.